Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast. All the stuff we did not get to during the course of the show today. Betty Rock. Gavin. Well, Gavin's not here today. He got sick. He had his weekend trip that he flew to see a football game. I think his team lost. And I guess he got sick coming back home. And so he was out today. And
have you heard that? I feel like more and more people are saying they have the flu. Have you heard that?
Yeah, the flu was supposed to be worse this year than in the past. I'm like, how? People are still washing their hands.
Well, that's it. Maybe people's weakened immune system.
Yeah, I have no idea. And so, so he got sick. And then my wife was like, good, tell him not to come in. I'm like, well, he already told me he's not coming in. She's like, well, good, tell him not to come in. You can't get sick. We have too many things going on. And because one of the big things is like Thanksgiving, obviously. But then I have to go to Dallas for a show. Not have to, get to. For Freaking and Country's Christmas show, which I'm looking forward to. Yeah. But then I come back for a day. Then I fly back out to go to Arlington for the service for my wife's father and mom. And so, I mean, I told her yesterday, actually, we were talking about it. And because she was going through all the things, and she was like, there's like certain pictures I would really want of the flag and the procession and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I can take it. She's like, but what if I need you? And I'm like, well, I can't be, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. She's like, would it be weird to hire a photographer? I said, it'd be weird to hire a wedding photographer and not tell them. And it'd be like, hey, I want a first look, but it's of the casket, And so I'm like, I mean, yeah, I said, yeah, you could do that if you wanted to. Like if you and Chester wanted to do that to, get really nice, elegant shots of, the service and his service to this country, like that'd be cool. But I think I'm just going to take the photos because she showed me somebody else that had done that and like the pictures they got. I'm like, I could do that for you, and be fine. The iPhone, like for what you would want it for.
Oh, no, it's getting better
great.
And better.
I can throw the background out of focus and, and do that portrait mode thing. And I said, I can make it look good if you want. I said, but somebody else is going to have to handle the emotions because this is great for me because I don't like emotions. Wow. I don't.
You're okay with emotions as long as they're yours.
Yes, and their anger, just one. No, I literally told her though. I said I got to be honest with you. I am not looking forward to this. And she's like, why? Because she and her brother have been planning it. I mean, it's been over a year in the making, like a year and a half in the making. And I said, because I don't like to see you upset. And there's no way you're not going to be upset. And rightfully so. But like to me, he already passed away, and that part you dealt with it, and you cried, and and it's done. Right. It's like it would be like having like a service now for my dad. I already dealt with it, and it's like I don't want to go back there and deal with it again. I'd rather just think of him, fondly and humorously. And so I'm like, you're just opening up this box again.
I get that.
Yeah, and I'm
Did
the
she
one.
Agree?
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm the one that has to be there to kind of not put you back together, but to help you. And I don't know how to do that, other than just to listen, and maybe
well, sometimes that's all she wants,
Yeah, I guess. Because I'm like, I can't fix any of this for you,
Yeah.
And so I said, it's just hard for me. So I'm not looking forward to this from that standpoint.
Yeah.
Not selfishly, but I don't like to see you hurt.
Right.
And so I was glad I got to tell her that because then she'll understand when I cancel. No.
Okay.
I hope, oh my gosh, I've got so many like tight flights to make all of this stuff happen that I can have nothing go wrong, and it's a holiday weekend. Like I'm really nervous about this. Yeah, I could see, the only good news is I could see like getting hosed traveling, coming back from For King and Country, and it messing up like a work day here, and it takes me forever to get home, and then that night I'm flying out for Washington. So
you better pack for both.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. So how was your weekend? Was it good?
It was really good. Friday, I didn't do anything, which I've come to like.
You're
I
pretty
look
good
forward
at
to it. And then Saturday, I slept late, and then
What's late?
Not too late.
Yeah.
Well, I take that back. It was 10.
Oh my God. That's late. I was up at 5:30. I was waiting on the sun because I wanted to finish the roof I was working on in my sunroom thing.
Yeah, that's stupid.
And I was up at 5:30 just like going, please, I need to not make too much noise for the neighbors. So I was like doing things like taking down a light fixture quietly and stuff like that. And I'm just waiting for the world to catch up to me.
See, I don't have that anxiety built up within me that my body just wakes up automatically. And
I still do.
Got to get up.
Yeah, I still, even on weekends.
That. I'm like, I am going to be refreshed. This is self-care. This is what I want to do. And so I did.
I can count on one hand the weekends that I've slept till like 9. You know, it just doesn't. My body just gets me up. I'm like, okay, it's time to go. And I always wait on my days off. I'll find that I will wake up. It's still at my time to get up at 4-ish. And I find I will wake up. I can go back to sleep, which is good, but I do wake up.
I don't do that.
Yeah, I wish.
But then afterwards, I went to a friend of mine's house and helped with decorating for Christmas.
Nice.
They have 2 Christmas trees, so we had to get those up. And we listened to Celine Dion.
2
which was
Christmas
a lot of,
trees?
They have a 2-level house, so I mean, they had
Still.
one upstairs and one downstairs. But when you have help, it's not a big deal. And it wasn't me alone; it was a bunch of us put together. And then we had another friend cook for us. It was really fun.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
I
enjoyed
don't like the decorating for Christmas. It just, there's so much to it.
I
like,
do, especially when it's a group effort. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, like I set the tree up already because my wife was gone, and so I wanted to surprise her and have the tree set up because she really wants to do it early this year. And I'm not fighting her. I'm like, oh, that's fine if it makes it makes her happy. So I'm like, great. Like at the end of the day, like I used to like draw
Since
a line
you can't
in the
make
sand.
her happy,
Exactly.
might as well do something.
Thank God something can, you know. But like I used to draw a line in the sand, like we're not setting the tree up till after Thanksgiving, and I don't even know why. Like as I've gotten older, I'm like, why did I have that rule? I don't even know why. It seems arbitrary. If it's something that makes her happy and doesn't hurt anybody, all right, fine, knock yourself out. And so I went ahead and set it up for her, and I got it all fluffed and scratched my hands up a million ways to Sunday, and we even got a Christmas tree bag last year, so that it wouldn't go back in the box and squish it all down.
Oh.
And I was expecting it to be like 90% fluffed.
Yeah?
Was not. It was. I still had to fluff the entire thing.
Really?
Yeah, it was kind of a bummer.
What's the point?
That's my point too. I don't know. It was pointless. And so I got that all done.
Okay.
And it felt good. So she can decorate. But I think I got that from my dad. Like my dad always hated putting up the tree, and I would hear him frustrated and cussing at the Christmas tree. It was always like, we know it's Christmas. Dad's yelling at a tree again.
We would always go out in the woods and chop one down.
See, I
look
love
forward to
that.
it every year.
Yeah, I love that. And then when you moved into the city, you just chop your neighbor's tree down.
Yeah. And call it done.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I got up and I worked and did a shiplap ceiling completely by myself, which I really needed help, but I wanted to get it done. And my buddy couldn't help me because his wife had back surgery, so he had to be there for her. And I didn't want to put him in an awkward place of, yeah, I could come for a few hours, and then he hoses her because he would do anything to help. And so I'm like, I'll just power through it and get it done. And sure enough, got it done. But then I get so frustrated with myself sometimes. Like I was 8 boards short, so I hadn't calculated enough right, and so I was 8 boards short. So I go back to Lowe's to get my 8 boards, and of course they don't have them. So somebody came in and bought all the rest of them after I bought a bunch, and so I said, well, can I go to the Lowe's down up in Franklin? Can you see if they have them? Yeah, it shows they have 200. So I'm like, okay, they've got to have them. So I called just to make sure. He goes, I would call, though, because our systems are bad. I call, and I start driving down there. They pick up, and then, okay, we'll get you somebody. On hold, 10 minutes as I'm driving. And I'm finally like, I'm almost there. So I hang up, and I get there, and I'm like, okay, look. I said, I need to know where these boards are. Okay, this is very important. I need 8 of these boards, and all I'm seeing are these other ones that are close to it. But and the one guy was like, "Yeah, well, I think that's all we got." And I'm like, "Really?" Because it says you have 200. Like the other guy at Lowe's told me you have 200. Well, I think there are these. I'm like, really? You guys have they're 2 different SKUs. How could it be that way? I said, man, I spent all the time up here on eternal hold, and so I'm starting to get frustrated, you know, because I'm like, just check. Let's go look at the bins where it tells you on your computer where they are. And finally, it was him and another guy, and finally they walk me over there, and they're like, oh, hey, here they are. I'm like, yes, all right, yes. So I'm like so happy. But like I had gotten a smidge snippy. Like I wasn't snippy, but I was frustrated, you know. And I think that like the one guy could tell I was frustrated. But then sure enough, dadgummit, the other guy was so nice, and he's like, hey, are you Wally? I'm like, yes. I should have been like, no, that's my twin. And he's the nice one. I'm the cranky one. And I was so mad because I'm like, I could have handled this better. I could have handled myself better. But then I was just life frustrating. And so I was like, man, I'm sorry I was frustrated, but man, I'm really happy now about this. He's like, oh yeah, my sister loves your show. And he was like so nice and complimentary and stuff. But I was in that moment, I was frustrated at my first reaction again. And you would think I would learn. Like, you would think at some point in time, I'd be like...
I'm sure that's what Jesus is thinking.
Yeah. Oh, really? You know what Jesus is thinking? Yeah. Yeah, you would think I would learn at some point in time and be like, all right, just don't get frustrated. But I do. I just find myself getting more and more frustrated with everything. But here's a time where I got really frustrated, and I made the right decision, and you got me in trouble with this one. It was an email that we got... hey, I'm a bit dismayed at the topic of conversation I heard on the morning radio station. Your DJs were talking about sharing logins. And you sharing logins with us.
On Hulu.
Yeah, for their streaming services. Not only is it immoral and unethical, but it's illegal. Like, okay, well, immoral is a whole new layer to this, ma'am. Like, none of it was immoral. You could say it was unethical, but it's not even unethical or illegal because Netflix said when they first started, they're like, we don't care. Share your logins. Don't care. It was only recently that they've been like, okay, now we got to crack down. So now they're making steps to stop it, and that's what they're going to do. And so then now if they make steps to stop it and you go around it, then yeah, you are circumventing it, and it's in that unethical range. But until they do that, they had said, we know people are going to do it. It's not a problem, you know. And so, but boy, she went right in there, and she's like, I'm really disappointed. Your DJs would talk about breaking one of the 10 commandments. There we go. We got thou shalt not steal. How can I justify my kids that this is wrong when the DJs on the radio station talk about it like it's okay? Maybe time to switch to another local Christian radio station. They always have the thread at the end, like I'm gonna care, and like, oh no, please, no, don't leave. Oh please, I'm begging you. What can I do to make you less uptight and make you stay? What in the world can I do? I need you here. If I don't have you, I don't know what's going to happen to this whole radio thing. I'm done, you know? And so that got sent to me from my boss. But I'm getting better now at going, you know what? I know I'm not in a good headspace to like deal with people like this because I will not be the best representation of me. So at least I am learning that. And I let them handle it now. I'm like, you know what? Tell them whatever you want. I'm out because I know I cannot be not sarcastic in that.
Okay. Can I say two things?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. The first one is,
yes.
Remember when you said something like there was a kid that was in the back seat with Haley, your daughter.
Yes.
And he said something like, I'm not in the right headspace for this. Do you remember that?
And
you making fun of him
It was worse than that.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that, but it was worse than what I just said. I can't remember what it was. The words.
No, it was pretty much the same.
No, it was way worse.
No, I would say it's like the same
It was
thing.
worse. It was like your friend's state of unwellness. It was more like dramatic like that.
Oh.
It was.
And here's what's
I'm just saying,
you're just saying you're not in the right headspace.
I'm just saying, if I were to respond in that moment, it would not be good.
That's what that kid was saying too. There was a kid in the back seat of Wally's car talking to his daughter Haley, and they were talking about something that they didn't agree on or something, and he said something to the effect of, I'm not in the right headspace to talk about this. Can we talk about something else?
But it was worse how he phrased it.
Wally is saying that there's a difference.
When I
concur, or I say that is inaccurate. They are one and the same.
What's your second point?
My second point, I would think that you would get a lot more compliments than you do hate, and those aren't read. You're reading the one that is the hate. Okay.
Yes.
And I'm sure that she would not say this to your face. Now, if she did, then there would be a healthy conversation.
Sure.
Unfortunately, that's not the case. Email and social media has given people a platform to have one-sided conversations.
Right.
So they're not looking at you to correct them. They're not looking to have that conversation.
Right.
They're just looking to put you in your place.
Exactly.
And so while it came from someone that disagreed with you, that's not saying that what she said was wrong, or saying that she is a bad person. It's just that we wish that conversation could have actually been a conversation instead of a one-sided
I
comment.
don't respond well to like the threats of things. Like people can disagree with me all day long. Like I don't have a problem with that. But when they come at it from the perspective of, hey, I heard this thing and I have a different opinion of it, and this is where I'm coming from. Like I have no problem with that. I go, oh yeah, that's cool. But when they're like, and maybe it's time to switch to another Christian radio station, I'm like, I emailed my boss back. I said, yeah, tell her maybe it is, and because I got 4 more years here, so she's gonna be miserable for 4 years if I'm still here, and so like for me, one of the funny thing is I used to always get emails from people that would be like, I think Toby Mac swore in his song. Why would you play a Toby Mac song where they're swearing all through it? And you're like, wait a minute. And it always is like, I'm never listening again. I'm listening to another station. You're like, why did you jump to that place? What was the need for that versus saying, hey, did I hear this right? Like, there's no way, give him the benefit of the doubt. There's no way Toby would do this, right? And you go, yeah, there's no way. You misheard it, But it always goes to that place of we're very judgmental, but also I'm trying to think of the word
quick to
we want to punish. We're punitive.
We're quick to cancel.
Yeah, we're very punitive inside of our faith too, and I think that's not healthy as you deal with people without faith as well. If that's what we're known for, and I think people do that in general. Like if you have a bad experience with an airline, what do you end your thing with? I'm never flying your airline again until the next cheap fare.
I've heard
and
you
then
say
you're on it. But it's true. Oh, it's very true. I've never written anybody with that kind of like. I have emailed people before when I had bad customer service and stuff, but I never, because I realize what it's like when I get it, and I never do it with like. I'm never flying your airline again. You're the worst. I had my moments back in the day before I realized that, and I remember yelling at one person, going, I want off your airline. Your airline kills people. Like I was in.
Wow.
Yeah, I was still working at mainstream radio, and it was
your airline kills people.
Well, it was my 4th flight delay on a mechanical reason, and so I finally was like, look, can you put me on another flight somewhere? No, we can't. I said, can you work with a partner airline and get me out of? I don't trust what you guys are doing now. And like she was just not being helpful, and so that's when I got loud and belligerent, and I was that guy that now would have been YouTube, like TikTok, But yeah, I literally was like, "Get me off of your airplane! You are killing people. I do not want to fly with you." And it was weird. She got me on another airline then. So I got the end result, but boy, it was nasty having to get there. And that's one of those ones I look back and I regret. But then I also am like frustrated because she could do it, but she was just telling me she couldn't. Right. So had she just started with, I know it's been a bad day. I get it. Let's see if we can get you home. Like we would have troubleshot that together and been fine, instead of me having to make some crazy lunatic statement.
Your airline kills people.
A statement that you cannot make today because I would have been arrested, Oh, so good. Anyway, speaking of statements, Kim Jong-un, the North Korea's military leader, you got to almost respect the honesty at least, because like Putin was like, no, we are not invading Ukraine. We are doing exercises. And then all of a sudden they invade Ukraine. So Kim Jong-un was like, the recent barrage of missile tests were practices to mercilessly strike South Korea and the U.S. targets. How do you, and you're a world leader saying this. We always look at our world leaders like what they can and can't say. And like Putin, like alluding to, nuclear threats. And this guy, you're like, they know they can get away with it now. Like, that's the problem. I think he's testing the U.S. going, hey, we're going to take out some of your stuff. What are you going to do? Like, and now it's like, okay, well, what are we going to do? So it'll be interesting to see how this whole thing shakes out, with our current president. And right now they've got bigger problems, in that is Super Tuesday, or not Super Tuesday, but Tuesday, tomorrow, Election Tuesday. Ooh, boy.
You already voted. Is Marty going to vote tomorrow?
She already voted. She went back and early voted. Yeah, we both early voted. Okay. My nephew is like 19, but he has CP and he's got like some developmental issues. And he watches TV like all day and watches sports and stuff and loves it. And he was like, I'm so going to be glad when Tuesday's over. Because he's like, he's getting all the political ads and it's driving him nuts. I understand that. And he's like, I just want it to be done so I can have my TV back.
Yeah. I'm making plans with friends to go and vote. At least
good.
At least I can stand in line with people that I know and not just stand there and be bored out of my mind.
Take Heads Up. Heads Up is fun to play in line. It really is fun. It lightens the mood too, and you might get other people to be like, okay, who here's a Democrat? Who here's a Democrat? And then go, do that. And then who here's a Democrat? And then go, well, you can't play. You're no fun. No, like to make a whole issue.
You know what
I
really should do is I should go around saying, this voting kills people.
Exactly. It works. It's pretty great. Oh, man.
Yeah, good times.
Or just to be like, hey, are you pro-choice? Would you like to choose what game we play here in line? Oh, that'd be so funny.
Good times.
Good times were had by all. That's good. I'm glad you're going to vote. I really liked getting it done early. Yeah. That's how I did my COVID shot, too. Like, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get it or not. And I walked into Target, and they're like, hey, we got COVID shots, no waiting. No waiting? And I'm like, really? You're not lying. I literally could do this right now? Because at the time, there were people like had to wait for a ton of time. I'm like, okay, fine. Let's do it. That's how little I care about my potential health.
How little you care about voting?
No, my potential health.
But you said it was the same thing as voting.
No, I care about voting, but I really like the fact that I literally walked in on my way to play pickleball. I was like, this is great.
Along with the other senior citizens.
We Velcroed our shoes and we got our jobs done. That's what we did today, or whenever it was, like 2 weeks ago. It was great. Well, that's good. I'm glad you're voting. I was wondering if you were gonna, vote, and because I think it's important. This kind of stuff's really important. Yeah. Like the Senate race. It literally, if you're a Republican, you're pulling that Republicans can flop one because they want a majority. Because right now it's a tie, and Speaker of the House Kamala Harris or Vice President Kamala Harris is the tiebreaker, so they can push things through. And so we don't necessarily have a complete set of checks and balances, and that's what our whole society, our government was based on, was being able to have accountability and checks and balances and stuff. Lady Rock, what do you got?
As he fades off into
I'm like, I'm tired.
I have some sad news. If you didn't hear already, over the weekend, Aaron Carter, who is the younger brother of Nick Carter of Backstreet Boys, he was found dead in his home. He was only 34 years old, super young, but his house sitter found his body in the bathtub. Eesh. So she's the one that had to call 911 and perform CPR on him. In the past, he had struggled with substance abuse and went to rehab several times. Yeah. I even saw where he had a son named Prince, I believe, who was just a year old, and he had lost custody of him and all this stuff. I didn't
know he had a kid.
Mm-hmm,
oh, wow.
A little boy, which
sadder.
I don't even know if his mom has custody of the baby. Like the baby's mom has custody. I'm not even sure of that. Yeah. I think it might be the child's grandparents that are taking care of him. But he's always been a mess. He was on Doctors. There was like a TV show called Doctors, and he actually went on there and was very open about his substance abuse issues and said that he dealt with bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, anxiety, depression, all the things that you can even think of.
And it's crazy because he went from the little brother of Nick Carter, and he had a little like back in the day I was on Radio Disney and we played his stuff. That's how I beat Shaq. That's how I beat Shaq. And he was like the cute little blonde-headed kid and whatever, but he struggled. Like some of the kid stars, they do not transition well into adulthood, and he struggled, and I guess his family life was kind of a wreck.
Yeah, he
put him through it.
Yeah, he lost an older sister to drug abuse 10 years ago, and then there had been accusations thrown back and forth between family members. Like it's just a very unhealthy family. And also he claimed that his mom was a drunk, that she was constantly abusing alcohol. Also, he claims that when he got out of rehab the last time, that no one was there to pick him up, that he had no family members, that it was just him and his grandma.
It's tough because sometimes you burn all those bridges and you have to own your mistakes.
Well, he had made threats to Nick Carter and his wife and their baby, saying he was going to kill them.
Well, that's a problem.
And then they got a... What do you call it? Restraining order against him. Like, that's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of unhealthiness going on.
That might be why I didn't come to pick you up.
Right.
Nick Carter had said, because he was on stage and they kind of made an announcement and then they had a Backstreet Boys moment. But his official statement was like, we had a really complicated relationship, but the love that I had for him never faded. And I do understand that.
Yeah, he said that addiction and mental illness is the real villain here.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, the kid had stuff going on, and it's really sad. What's sad is that, one member of a family can really destroy a family, and pull them down because everyone's trying to help this kid, and then other relationships fracture as a result of that. And it's a good example of like your choices. I can do what I want to do. I can choose my choices, but your choices always affect somebody else.
Well, and I don't understand because over the weekend I watched the Selena Gomez on Apple TV, the documentary.
Oh, you finally got that worked out?
My Mind and Me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was on a ladder when you texted me for my passcode for that.
Yep. But I ended up...
And I picked up.
Yep. And I ended up just buying it myself. But anyways... She has the same issue, and I mean, it's like Justin Bieber, Billie Eilish, like all of them. It's like there's something that happens, and I don't understand what it is, why some end up not being hurt at all, and others just seem to spiral out of control.
I think it's twofold. I think it's one, the way the person is wired, and two, it's the people around them. I think those two
Like if they
factors.
have a good family support system, I could see that. What was one interesting thing, and I forgot to tell you this, was when I was watching the Selena Gomez, which, by the way, if you decide to watch it, don't watch it because I watched it. There's definitely some language in there. But there's one part where she's practicing getting ready for a tour, I believe, and she's so anxious and stressed out about the whole thing, and her dance coach, I believe, started playing Lauren Daigle's You Say.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it was really interesting. But anyways, so she went through depression. She got diagnosed with bipolar disorder as well.
Oh, she did? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so I just don't understand how you think they have it all because they started out, everybody knows them. Everybody wants to be around them. They have money, they have fame, and they have it all. And then something happens between then and now, and they fall apart at the seams.
Because what happens is that starts to fade. Like that transition from kid star to adult star for most kids doesn't go well. And so all the things that you had, you start, even at that young age, it starts to fade away. And that's your identity.
Like you don't have the money anymore?
Well, yeah, that starts to go. The fame, I'm telling you, man, the fame is a thing that's the most addictive part of this. And like people knowing who you are, and when you live for that and then it goes away, it's worse than never being famous, I think. It's like having that fame and having it go away to where you're nothing. Like, I think that's worse for people that were in that world, and I think they struggle through that.
Yeah, and another thing, too, that Selena Gomez mentioned, and it probably is something that I would imagine Aaron Carter dealt with, too, was you don't want to be known for your past.
Right.
So I don't know if it's like, for her, she was on that Disney's Witches of Waverly Place.
Yeah.
And she didn't want to be remembered for that, and I don't understand why. Like, there was nothing bad about her being remembered for this Disney show.
But that's the trouble, though, because she wanted to be like an adult, serious musician, taken seriously. And so when you have that, it's like every kid that comes off American Idol, hey, it's Colton Dixon from American Idol. Hey, it's Mandisa from American Idol. You have to go through a few years of that and have that referenced until what you're doing now eclipses that and you forget about it. It's like a perfect example, Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg became this great actor, and you forget that he was part of Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. But forever, when he was first becoming an actor, everyone referenced back to, Funky Bunch until he was accomplished enough at this to make you forget about it.
And another interesting thing, and I think I know you've said this yourself, Wally, is at one point she goes over to Kenya, Africa, to see this establishment that she's helped build. It's like a school for girls. And she gets to talk to all of these girls about what they're facing, what they're going through. And at the end, she realizes, she's like, now I feel like my life has purpose. Now I feel like my life has meaning. And she was asked in an interview, like, what would you do if you weren't a pop star? And she said she would do philanthropy. Like she would help people because she felt more at home in Africa. And she said she also felt like those girls were way braver than her, way braver than she could ever be, because she was asking them about, do you have boyfriends or whatever? And they were like, no, like we don't need a boyfriend.
Right.
And she was taken back by that. And to me, I think it's a message that we all could, maybe that's something that Aaron Carter was missing in his life. Like was he helping anyone? I don't know.
Right.
But sometimes you think that the epitome of hitting it high in life is when you are someone, when everyone thinks you're someone. And then you get up to the top and you realize I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about me helping others.
Yeah.
And maybe that was something that he was missing. I don't know.
Well, because when you accomplish so much fame, that's why there's so much debauchery around it. Because when you look at like these rock stars that accomplished everything, did everything, tried everything, and you're still there at the end of the day alone, on this tour bus or this hotel room or whatever, and you're like, I have no one. And I have everything, but I have no one, that really truly gets me or loves me, and it's
like maybe those fans are only there for me because of who I've painted myself to be.
Yeah, and who you are for them, and stuff. And NF has this great line. He says, a lot of people know me, but not a lot know me well. And that's that price of fame. It's like, yeah, people know who you are, but they don't know you, and people want to be known and valued and cherished and loved
for who they really are, not this character that they have to live up to be.
Yeah, and
so
I think
is that the downfall?
I think that messes with a lot of them. When you get to the reason I was going about the debauchery is when you get to the top and you've climbed all the way to get here, and then all of a sudden it doesn't satisfy, what do? You find the next thing, because you're constantly like a drug addict chasing that high. You're trying to find something that satisfies, but nothing ever will. And that's the whole thing of like that old analogy of the hole, God-shaped hole in your heart, but there's truth in that. You chase everything, and none of it makes you happy. What do you do then?
Mm-hmm. And also, too, with this whole Aaron Carter situation, I was reading on Twitter what people were saying about it. And, of course, everybody was posting the video of the Backstreet Boys show that night when Nick Carter was actually on stage and they were making the announcement that his brother had passed away. And at one point, Nick Carter breaks down. He starts crying, and all the guys like come around him and like love on him and hug him and stuff. And someone was saying, I wish that Aaron could have seen this. Maybe when he was in a facility somewhere,
right.
Like, did he really know that his brother cared for him that deeply? And it just goes to show, like, if you really care about somebody or if you really love somebody, you need to tell them now. I mean, I don't want to sound cheesy or corny, but it is true. Like, you don't want to wait until they're gone, and maybe that was what they needed to know, especially if you know that they're going through a mental health crisis. You don't want to wait until it's too late.
Yeah. Well, you could tell me now. He's like, I'll get you tomorrow. We have that one promo.
I'm not in the right mindset.
We have that one. We have a promo that's running on the air that I heard the other day, and it made me laugh so hard because we were talking about interventions, and that one actress that staged like her own intervention because she knows she needed help. And I'm like, you know what? That's great. I really need to do that. I think I should have my own intervention. And you're like, that's really brave. That's really good. I'm like, you busy this week? Or can you help me this week? And you're like, nope. Like the timing was so perfect. Nope. Like, all right, I'm on my own. Oh, man.
Wait, I didn't get to this, though. So Aaron Carter, he passed away. They put together a list of other celebrities that have passed away this year that we had to let go of. So starting in January, they had Bob Saget.
Yeah.
And then we had Meatloaf.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the meat.
Then in March, we had the Foo Fighters drummer, Taylor Hawkins.
That was one that was such a big news story, and I don't know why. Like, Foo Fighters is a big band, but Dave Grohl is the band, for the most part. I mean, and Taylor always had a presence in it for sure, but I saw that everywhere, and people were just shocked by it. And I don't know if it's because he was like a nice guy and fun-loving, and people hated that.
You said the same thing, though, about Bob Saget. You were like, why are we still talking
Again,
about
his
this?
was a long time. Betty White's was not nearly as long as
you
either
didn't talk
of them.
about Meatloaf's like that, though. You were like, oh, yeah, Meatloaf.
I know.
Man.
It's sad.
Bummer.
But
Naomi Judd back in April.
Yeah.
And then August, we have Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. If you ask me next year if Olivia Newton-John is dead, I will probably be like, I don't think so. Like, my track record on Dead or Alive is ridiculously bad.
September, we lost Coolio.
What? No.
You didn't know Coolio passed?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I've been living most of my life, living in a gangster's paradise. If I had a soda, I would pour some of it out for him right now. Yeah, Coolio's dead?
Yeah. It was some kind of like heart failure.
Why am I just finding this out?
He was like 54.
Oh my gosh, and it's
he was
my
your
age. Did I take my heart pills today?
And then in October, we lost Loretta Lynn and then Angela Lansbury.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Murder, She Wrote. Coolio's dead?
Let me make sure that it was 54.
I'm shocked.
Coolio passing.
I didn't remember that.
He was knows? Where is his Wikipedia? He was, 59.
He's older than me.
Yeah. He was born in 63.
Okay, yeah, 5 years older.
His real name was Artis Leon Ivy Jr.
Wow.
Oh,
Coolio.
That's a really pretty name.
Yeah, because Weird Al did Amish Paradise to him, which was good.
Yes.
And then Flow Riders was White and Nerdy, done by Weird Al. Like you've made it when Weird Al covers you.
Right.
Like that's how you know you're successful. Up until that point, it's all conversation.
Did you see the new movie that Harry Potter boy is doing with Weird Al?
No.
It just came out. It's free on Roku, but it's like the Weird Al story.
Oh,
but
no way.
The Harry Potter kid plays the role
Daniel
of Weird
Radcliffe?
Plays the role of Weird Al Yankovic.
No,
Yeah.
I have to. It's on Roku. Darn it, I don't have Roku.
It doesn't look good. It looks weird.
Well, it won't be. Well, it's
It
Weird
has Rainn Wilson in it.
My only connection to Weird Al was he was playing a concert in California when I was out there, and I worked at Radio Disney, and he's a huge Star Wars fan. He had done a parody of Star Wars thing, and we were able to set him. This was the episode of Star Wars. I don't know which it is. I'm not a Star Wars nerd, but where Anakin Skywalker, I guess, played by Jake Lloyd, the little kid, who I guess grows up to be Darth Vader. And so,
spoiler alert.
I know, yeah.
Jeez.
So he was like, so Weird Al was a big fan. And so we worked it out so this kid could go and join Weird Al on stage. And like Weird Al was like, that was so cool. Like it was like we impressed Weird Al. Like that's awesome. That's pretty cool. So that's my only Weird Al story.
That's when you knew your career.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he didn't cover anything by me,
climax.
but I realized he knew we did that, you know.
Well done.
All right. Well, that's it. You got any birthdays?
I do. It's Melissa, the Wally Show historian.
Yeah.
She wanted to wish Gavin a happy 27th birthday. Is he 27?
Yeah, 27 yesterday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we already celebrated his birthday on the show.
Yeah, you can check it out if you go to Facebook or Instagram. Just choose. Just look up Wally Show.
There you go. All right. Well, with that, I think that's going to do it for our Aftercast today. That was a 36-minute with the two of us. Holy cow. Clocking it in. Doing the work, if you will. All right. And that's going to do it for your Aftercast. Thanks for being a potty.